have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one, that is Jesus, who has been tempted in every way, just as we are. Yet he did not sin, as we see in Matthew chapter 4. He's been tempted in every way, all right? Yet he did not sin. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. It says that therefore, we have a high priest who has ascended to heaven, that is Jesus. Then it goes to 15, says, for we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way. Christ empathizes with us in the midst of our trials, in the midst of our temptations. He empathizes with us because he has been tempted like us in every way, yet he did not sin. So it means that we can rely upon his strength, rely upon his power, look to him for strength in the midst of our temptation. And we're told here in Hebrews that we can approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may find mercy, we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. So in our time of need, where we need to go to for strength is Christ, because he has promised that he can be with us, strengthen us, and he understands what we are going through. So we don't run away from God, we run to God in the midst of our trials. So that's the second thing the Bible tells us. We can depend upon Jesus, our high priest, in our time of need. Thirdly, the Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 10-13 that God will not allow us to be tempted beyond what we can bear. All right, that he will make a way, that he is faithful. That's in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. And fourthly, the Bible also tells us, this is in Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. This is Jesus speaking, by the way. And what does Jesus say? Jesus tells us, he says, watch and pray. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. So Christ knows that we are going to be bombarded by temptation. He knows we're going to be tempted. He knows it's one of the enemy's main avenues of attacking us. So Christ says we need to watch and pray so that we will not fall into temptation. Why? Because our spirit is willing to serve God. Our spirit is willing to obey God, but our flesh is weak. And last session we spoke about the three main enemies of a believer, and that's the flesh, that's our flesh, that's the world. And it's Satan. It's the world, the flesh, and the devil. And so those three, as we said last session, conspire to try and make us derail and to move away from the will of God and from the purposes of God. So Jesus is telling us that we need to watch and pray. Not just watch, but watch and pray. Turn to the Lord for strength. Turn to him for mercy. Turn to him for the power to stand in the day of trial. So that's what the Bible